Hello world, it is time for 5 minutes with the flawed guru. 5 minutes off the cuff, because on the cusp. 5 minutes off the cuff, on the cusp, or 5 minutes on the cusp, off the cusp. 5 minutes with the flawed guru. On the cusp of Aries and Taurus. We are beginning a new zodiacal sign, and also we are entering the growing time. The growing time when the totem animal is the beaver. So I am not going to go too much into, the relationship between the sun, the moon, and the earth, and so what's going on that's producing the growing time. But we all know it's like, seasonal change. And so we're in the growing time. And so I'm just going to talk about growth then. Healthy growth. We want healthy growth. It's like you look outside, and now for the next month you're just going to see a spurt of growth, lots of growth. That's all on the physical level. And I want to, just briefly address physical growth, emotional growth, mental growth, and spiritual growth. And I want to address these things not just on the personal level, your own personal physical growth, emotional growth, mental growth, and spiritual growth, but also and address those to see, okay, what is healthy growth, because I think it's important to have physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health, but also recognizing that growth takes place not only for you as an individual, but you in relationship to various larger dimensions. So as an individual growing, you're growing, but also your family is growing, your circle of friends is growing, and your community is growing, and your the society as a whole is growing, the culture is growing, the nation is growing, the world is growing. So we want to be able to see healthy growth, on all those levels. And it just comes into my mind that sometimes there is negative growth. It's like maybe you're shrinking. Maybe your circle of friends, is decreasing, So, I've been working to help middle school kids with their math, and you talk about, positive and negative numbers. And so, but we don't want to go off on that tangent. What we want to say is, in order for growth to occur, you look out, if you take care of your garden or different things like that, there are different elements. You can describe them scientifically, or you can describe them metaphorically. That growth is a process of interaction of, earth, air, energy or fire, and water. And if you have the right combination of the elements, at the right time of year, then boom, growth occurs. And growth follows a pattern. Growth is not just random. So you have a plant, it grows to a certain size. It doesn't just keep growing. It has a morphological element within the nature of its being, that causes the growth to take place and to give it a certain form and a certain shape in order to fulfill a certain purpose. So when we're growing so that we can fulfill our purpose. And it's like in the case of plants and everything like that, generally there's a purpose, that they serve in a relationship to the rest of environment, and there's a purpose that they serve for their own species, to bear fruit and to multiply. So on a spiritual, physical, on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level, on all these different levels, we want to grow in a healthy way. So we need the right combination of elements in order to grow. And we want to grow in a way then that we will be able to fulfill our purpose and bear fruit. And we want to be able to fulfill our purpose and bear fruit, not just as individuals, but as a family, as a community, as a society, as a nation, and as a culture, and all these different groups. So we want to see healthy group growth on the individual level, all the way to the worldwide or to the cosmic level. I mean, ultimately, if you think about it, what would be like if the whole universe, the whole cosmos is growing? That might be too much to address right now, because we don't know what is involved on various different spiritual dimensions, what kind of beings exist, and actually throughout the universe. We don't know what the nature of being and life is all throughout the universe. We're trying to learn more about that, but we don't really know. Probably the largest that we can sort of take in, and even that's very difficult to do, is all of the different cultures and nations and peoples of the earth. So if humanity as a whole is growing in a healthy way, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, then what would that world be like? A world in which, a healthy world, in which growth was occurring in a complementary and symbiotic way, so that we had a healthy planet and healthy relationships amongst all different peoples. Then that would be a world in which everybody would benefit. Everybody would benefit. And that's what we want, is to see a world in which everybody can benefit. So it's already, I think, 5 minutes, and so we're gonna just end here. Just take time to meditate then, on a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level. Is what you're doing, does it have value for yourself, for your own personal growth? And also, does it have value for the spiritual, physical, mental, emotional health of the planet as a whole? So that we as a whole, our human consciousness, as human beings, are we growing in a way that is going to benefit the world? Are we growing in a way that is going to bring about world peace, harmony between peoples of different cultures, between peoples of different ethnic groups, between peoples of different religions? In other words, are we creating harmonious, loving relationships that are going to bear good fruit and serve a good purpose for the planet as a whole? If you seek the whole purpose, in other words, to put it in the terms, say, of Christianity, or of Jesus, what Jesus said: seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto you. If we all seek the kingdom of God, and help to realize that, then, we will be contributing to the development of a healthy planet. And just to quote Jesus again, he said, don't you know that the kingdom of God is within you? So the place to seek for these values, truth, love, beauty, goodness, that result in creating a good world and serving others, are inside you. So seek inside you for the kingdom of God. And if you do that, all else will be added unto you. That means all the different necessary elements for your positive physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual elements will be there. And, and if you share that with others and you help facilitate others doing the same, then the world will progress in a positive way towards the kingdom of God, towards a world that is a healthy world based upon loving, harmonious relationships. So enjoy this growing time.